Right. Hello again. This is Mira and Gregg, or Gregg and Mira, depends on how you want to look at it. Today we're going to be discussing the USAID and the effects of Trump and DOGE under Elon Musk. I'll probably be promoting the idea of the limited spending that can occur under a more tame and more controlled government. And I don't know that Mira would argue against that, but we'll see. Mira?
So, I'm Mira, and I might argue in favor of some structuring, as in all the organizations, but I don't know more than that. So, let me start. So, something that really upset me was the expression USAID is a criminal organization, time for it to die, by Elon Musk. So, I don't know what you think about it.
Right, my understanding is that this is just a 90-day pause in place by President Trump in order to investigate the spending that's been going on under USAID. The employees are still being paid, funds are still flowing, and not necessarily flowing in their entirety. There's a waiver system in policy that Marco Rubio has put into place and basically gave the opportunity to all these different organizations to plead their case for immediate spending. And this is probably in the case of healthcare. I know there was like a lot of food deliveries that were being mentioned and a lot of medications and therapies and treatments. So the idea that if you just write a waiver and your policy will be looked at, it makes sense to me that that is a good way to start this process, because all the legitimate uses of US money are those waivers will be filled out immediately and put on their way. And any program that might be looked at as possibly criminal, as you begin this segment, those individual programs and the people that are running them, they might be not so quick to write a waiver or request a waiver to have their funds immediately activated. And I think that in itself will probably prove a lot of what President Trump and DOGE believe to be wrongful usage of U.S. money. So your question is it innately a government a criminal organization? I think that's overstatement. I think Trump uses that overstatement, and now Elon Musk has been using that same type of overstatement.
Yeah, I mean, that I understand, and it was mostly the expression, and not only this, because there have been a bunch of this kind of expression, especially by Elon Musk regarding USAID. And as I said, it upsets me particularly because knowing the help that USAID has brought to millions of people in the world, and then like being just equalized to a criminal organization, but some guy that might be successful in juggling money, and I have my doubt on why he is leading a US department, and but this is maybe for another time. So this was really what upsets me. On another side, I think that this is also a problem of people not knowing really what USAID does and what's the budget of USAID and in how many countries it works and what's its purpose, because it's being sold as something that it's taking all the taxpayers' money, which is not true at all. So, and I agree with you in the sense of restructuring it. And I think that all these kind of organizations where there is a lot of administrations and they need a very thorough monitoring in order to see where the money is going and if it's really like going there where the purpose is to help people. And I'm sure that there must be cases of misplacement and corruption. I mean, I'm sure. I don't like to say I'm sure, but there might be. But I think that the most of USAID has done some good. I mean, especially I know more the case of countries in Africa and in South and Eastern Europe. Although when we talk about Eastern Europe, automatically there is a kind of connection with the influence of Soros. And I know that as soon as we say Soros, some people in US and in Eastern Europe will freak out. But that's really what
Why
bothers
will they
me.
do
Like
that? Why will
who?
they freak out?
Yeah.
You'll have to go to fully
No, you're
subjective.
not gonna.
No.
No, you're not gonna freak out. I mean, I know it. Why will you freak out if I say George Soros?
No,
No.
I thought you said that people from Eastern Europe would freak out because of George Soros.
Some
Now, because
politicians. Some
for
politicians.
me, his influences felt a lot more strongly in the United States. Of course, I don't know what his influence is in other countries as much as I know in the United States.
No, I've been watching a little bit some like YouTube videos and some articles, especially from right wing like channels and people in the U.S. and also in Europe, and it was so funny because I saw. I don't know what journal was the word news, what newspaper was it, but the title, the headline was Soros through USAID is financing armed left-wing groups in Albania. Armed left-wing groups in Albania. I mean, first of all, left-wing groups in Albania, I would be kind of cautious because there are few and they are small. Personally, I would like to have some left-wing groups in Albania, like that would help. But
Careful what you're
during
asking.
this, so you see these kind of headlines that it's so misguiding to the role of USAID. And maybe on a very subjective note, if I could say what USAID has been doing in Albania, I mean, there have been a lot of programs and I don't know all of them, if everything has been successful or not. I know that women in agriculture have been supported a lot, but what is more important is that USAID has helped restructure the judicial system in Albania. And for the first time now in Albania, we have some politicians that are being investigated for corruption, which is like such a great success. So to my very small modest perspective of an Albanian citizen, if USAID has helped to restructure the judicial system, this is a good thing. So I mean, that doesn't show anything for the American citizens, but for someone that is living in a country where foreign aid it's really important, and especially from US, because if I'm not wrong, USAID is the most important donor in the world.
The
So
largest
yeah,
any foreign aid for over
yes,
120 countries.
yeah. So I mean, can you imagine the impact?
I don't think the issue is that USAID is a bad thing. Nobody is arguing that USAID is not going in and theoretically
He's
helping.
saying it's a criminal organization time to die.
Can I finish?
Sorry.
So let's do a thought experiment about USAID. If the worst case scenario is true, that for every $1 given to USAID, maybe 10 cents is finding its a useful space. And that's a worst case scenario. And I know that argument has been raised and I know that it's been shot down. But my understanding of any type of organization that is so large, you're going to have a great deal of bureaucratic loss. So we'll say in this worst case scenario, 10 cents is being used appropriately. Now, if I am to say there's another scenario where maybe not as bad, 20% is being used to the benefit of those foreign nations, wouldn't it be worth doing an inspection of the current policies, the current expenditures, and potentially moving to a better rate of improvement for those individuals? Because the idea isn't that USA is a criminal organization and it's doing criminal acts. The idea is that USAID is being administered in a criminal manner and the money is not being used in the most efficient way. So to just blatantly make the argument that, oh, he's calling them, they're doing criminal acts, it's kind of shortchanging the idea of just doing an audit, just making sure that the money is being expended appropriately and correctly, and with the approval of we the people. We have just picked a new president, a new Republican Party in the democratic process because of the will of the people. And it seems to me all this organization DOGE is doing is just going full kimono with government records, letting people see what type of exploitation is going to their money. Their money. These people, these Americans, are victims in some cases, you could say. We're being exploited by the rest of the world. And just taking a look at how that money is being spent to see if we can do it better, that could be a criminal act in my opinion. If you're spending money wrong, that is a criminal act.
Exploited by the rest of the world? I didn't
Well,
get it. What do you mean?
well, if the United States is the largest donor to USAID or to all these organizations, I mean, United States of America has been paying for 120 countries for how long? Since President Kennedy established the
Kennedy,
U.S.
yeah.
And he did this under the guise of establishing better relationships and creating healthier systems for less than or more impoverished countries. But it seems now that USAID money is being used in data collection and social construction. So if we look at some of these expenditures, and I know everybody's looked at this, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru, and all of these DEI and transgender issues, why is it the United States' responsibility to tell people how to live their lives? I don't think it is. The idea was that we were going to bring democracy. Not every country wants that, but the ones that do, let them have it without a pay tag or a bill associated. There are reports that USAID money is dangling over the heads of these organizations that want to do goodwill, but they're told, we'll give you this money to do your goodwill, but only if you employ these certain communication styles, or you give away this particular policy, and you have to follow this policy, or you don't get the money. That is a criminal act. That's coercion.
I mean, the amount that you mentioned, it's such a small amount compared to what has been spent for fight AIDS, for example, in African countries. And this is one of the biggest thing that USAID has done. And it was under a Republican president. It was under George W. Bush. So, yeah, that's great. And so it's not that now USAID is not working on health and on hunger. I mean, I know that in so many countries in Africa, USAID is providing the only proper meal to so many children that are going to schools. Or USAID is one of the largest donor in support of human rights defender in Eastern European countries, where like Belarus or Georgia or like Armenia, where women's organization particularly cannot work on gender equality because they are not financed by other government and the other donors are not providing so much money like USAID. It's sure that USAID is the largest donor because also United States is the biggest developed country. But compared to the federal budget, the amount that goes to USAID is like 1%. So it's not that the taxpayers, like the American taxpayers, are losing all their money on the USAID. So I think that there is a kind of proportion there. Also about transgender, why not talk about human rights of people like transgender people? Like, what's the bad thing here to talk about the protection of human rights in those countries where you cannot talk about the human rights of all people? So, I mean, if they are doing it, I'm so happy. And on the other side, luckily, I would say from someone who is in Europe that USAID is doing this, like talking about the human rights of LGBTIQ person or about sexual and reproductive rights, which is a topic that it's freaking out all the right-wing parties in in Eastern Europe. And also because in the same time there is so much money coming from the evangelical church in US and from the Orthodox Church in Russia, just against gender equality and sexual and reproductive health rights. So yeah, I'm very happy that USAID is doing this. On the other side, you mentioned DOGE, you said, for the new department that has been created?
DOGE, yeah.
DOGE? Okay, yeah.
DOGE.
Yeah, DOGE. Okay, that's great. To have a monitoring department, and I mean, why not? And to see how effective the policies until now have been have been, and if the money is going there where it's needed. But personally, I have so much doubts that Elon Musk will do it.
Based on what?
Based on
Where's your
what?
evidence, Mira?
Oh, I have no evidence apart from the fact that what's his expertise like? Has he done some classes on public management in Harvard and in Yale, who are the best universities in the world for these kind of topics? Is United States so poor in providing experts in global politics, executive government? Who is this guy that now it's leading one of the most important departments in the United States? Because we saw all this discussion about DEI that is bringing people who are not efficient, etc., etc., and it looks like he jumped real quick on a position like without DEI help. So yeah, I'm sorry. I have absolutely no faith. And you know how I hate to be absolute, but this is one of these cases which really saddens me that he is dealing with this. Because, I don't think that it will be efficient for the USAID, not at all. The way how he's tweeting about it, degrading so much the work of USAID and the USAID workers, I fully understand what you were saying, and I totally agree with the logic of let's see what they are doing and improving it. But first of all, you have to do this, research what has been done, and then start to degrade. But this wild degrading that he's been doing through all his tweets, and we know how important is social media. And I think that for him it's so important that to make people think that this is useless organization. This organization has been stealing your money. So let's erase it totally. And I wouldn't like to go into conspiracy theories because I really don't like it. But I was reading one article and it was mentioned. No. But there was an article that was saying that the fact that Russia has been praising this kind of the demise, please correct my pronunciation. How do you say? Of USAID, demise of USAID. It shows something, and this is what bothers me, because despite all the mistakes that USAID may have been done or still doing, I think that if we put into balance, it's the good thing that is prevailing. And I think that I mentioned it before, but even from a pragmatic point of view, don't you and when I say you, it's Americans, to have this huge network of achieving a soft power in all the world?
No.
You don't like it? And how?
No, I didn't say I don't like it. You said don't Americans like having this
why?
soft power
So
or achieving without a network?
Yeah.
No, the average American doesn't know what soft power is, doesn't care about that. The average American cares about their income, their national security.
Yeah.
So to go back to your 1%, it's only 1% of their gross domestic product of the United States pays for USAID. I'm sorry, I find that argument to be failing. If you're my neighbor and you tell me that I have to spend more money for the third neighbor, I'm going to tell you, if you want to do it, you do it. You spend your money. Don't look at me and say, hey, it's only 1% of your income to help that third neighbor. That's fine. I'll spend my money the way I want to spend it, as the United States should have that policy, and that's what we do. So that argument, I just can't accept that. It's not up to you to tell me how to spend my money. And as far as it seems like you have some personal attachment towards Elon Musk. When you ask the question, what is his expertise? I'm not trying to be insulting, but the guy is multi-billionaire, probably will be the first trillionaire. And it's not that he's been left this money in, some great inheritance, or he struck gold. The guy shoots rockets into space and what was that quote? Catches them with chopsticks. He has the strongest electric vehicle company, making the most technologically advanced vehicles. 90% of Congress and senators, maybe not 90%, a high percentage of these politicians all own his vehicles. They advocate for electric vehicles, and he's the owner of these massive companies. So to say he doesn't have expertise on how to manage money or to run organizations, I would question that line of thinking. I think you don't need to be an economist to know how to spend your money. You don't need to know everything about every other organization in order to properly spend money. So regardless, you don't have personal faith in Elon Musk. Ideally, everything he's doing is going to be done transparently. And until that time, when it's either determined that they're not providing all the information that they need to provide on the expenditures of these organizations under USAID, then I think you can't argue it. What can be argued is that money is being spent by USAID now has been exploited. The monies are being used in preposterous ways. And I know that you're a huge advocate of the LGBT community, and I'm not opposed to that. But I don't think it's the job of the United States to tell every other country under which principles they need to live their lives. And especially don't do that holding around a bag of money saying, hey, if you either believe what we believe or at least say or pretend that you believe what we believe, we'll give you money. That's literally corruption. That's exploitation of the money that you so quickly, hey, it's only 1%. Let me talk about 1% of your budget. And then you can talk about mine, maybe not.
I mean, it's not that simple, I think, because first of all, US, it's not an isolated country that it's just living there completely alone in the planet. So there are other countries in this world, and we know that we interact with each other. And one of the ways to interact with each other is for the developed countries to help the less developed countries. So
if they choose to.
Yes. So, and the US government has chosen to. So I think that it was Trump who in his first mandate was one of the greatest supporter of USAID, because Ivanka Trump was supporting and running a huge program that it's still going on. I mean, not going on during these days because the funds are frozen in Eastern Europe for the women's economic empowerment. So,
unless a waiver is applied, yes.
Yeah. So,
and it's only a 90-day temporary hold.
Yeah, let's see. I don't know. Let's see. Because as I said, and then you said, I have no faith at all at Elon Musk. And to be frank, I'm kind of being very moderate and polite because, I mean, of course, he's a billionaire and good for him. And he might be a very smart guy who knows very well how to juggle the money. I mean, that's fantastic. I see it mostly as hugely egoistical wannabe Nazi, but this is like completely my personal opinion and I'm not going there. My problem is that I don't doubt that he knows how to manage the money. That's not a problem. The problem is that he has no expertise on government administration, and this is not the same as running a business. Not at all.
How is it not? How is it not?
No, it's not a business. It's not a business because you can become rich by just, cutting all the positions or cutting all the old age pensions in your business or just following a very wild capitalism way of running your business. And I'm not sure that you want that in the United States if you think that we are talking about the poor and the average citizen. So I'm not sure how this rich guy is going to help the average or the poor American citizens. It's not also to run your organization without analyzing all the influence that it's going to have in the world. So, no, I don't think he has the expertise, not at all. And as I said, I am sure that in the US you have all these Nobel Prize economists and administrators, and they're just there. So why is this guy
there's opinions by economists on both sides of the argument. That's the
I
problem.
know. but
You can't just look at economics policy and say that's he tells us exactly what to do and that's the way we do it. But I'm going to go back real quick. So you said if we wanted to be, if United States, if our government was ran like a business, it would just fire all the bureaucrats. I assume you're talking about, and that's not going to make poor Americans richer. That's absolutely not true at all. Is that what you said?
no, I didn't say that. I said that he's going to run the government as he's running a business. So if there is a company or if one policy is to fire everyone, he doesn't give a damn because he's looking just at the money
You're
effect,
saying if
not
you're
at
using
the
his example of buying Twitter and firing all the excessive
one.
employees
Yeah,
employees.
one.
And you're arguing that if he does that in the United States, that's a bad thing. Well, I'm going to argue that's a wonderful thing. If you have 10 employees doing the job of one or two, you need to get rid of 8 or 9
Yeah.
employees.
And what are they going to do, these 9 employees?
Find another job. If their job is to do nothing,
Where?
and when the employer doesn't need them, then they're wasting that employer's money. And they could find another
So
job. There are other
you'll
jobs.
so you'll exploit these two that you have kept in place?
Exploit? If they're the
Yeah.
only, it only takes 2 people to do the work I need done. Is that exploitation? I don't think so.
I
That's called efficient. And
no,
if we
that's
apply that
not.
same principle to the government, as it sounded like you were indicating, which it might not be, if we go ahead and fire all the bureaucratic positions that are held in the United States, like an example, USAID, that will make the poor people of the United States richer because they will be paying less
How?
taxes. They will be paying
Oh,
less taxes. They will be less exploited by their government. That 1% could do all those American poor people a great favor.
I hope so. I really hope
Well, I
so,
hope so
but
too.
no, but you know that 1%, because that's also another issue. That 1%, it doesn't go only to my fellow left-wing guys in Albania or in other countries. It
And
goes
right wing.
mainly, no,
USAID monies have been shown to be used on both sides of the aisle.
No,
So,
I'm just joking. So it's not going only to NGOs, to foreign NGOs. Most of that money is being given to US NGOs, so to US employers.
that
So
is
it's not a
criminal.
1%. No, it's not criminal because these guys and these gals are doing a fantastic job. And there are almost 100 of them who, I mean, I'm not going to be kind of pathetic now, or how do you say it, but they have died while working on humanitarian aid. And it was American citizens that were helping other people. It was not money that is being given just to foreign NGOs. So this 1%, it's a 1% that it's most of it it's also being given back to American organizations.
And that's the concern that kickback, that's what we call it in the United States, is happening. And that's why this audit is happening. And I agree with it. If there are, don't get me wrong, I love American
No.
companies doing good business. But there are a lot of American companies and probably other international companies that are exploiting America. They get very large contracts, making far more than they should for the service provided. And the 1% argument, all I said is it's not up to the world to tell the United States how to spend their money. So
Yeah.
that's the only argument I wanted to make with the 1%. The United States pays the most to USA than any other country. It doesn't matter if it's 1% or 5% or half a percent. The relevant factor is that it's not international money, it's United States money. And
Yeah.
how the
And
proportion is, it can't be directly, it can't be, expressed, across the board with any other country because we give so much. I don't know how to argue.
Yes, and no, and the other countries, I think they are not saying to US what to do. I think most of them they are thanking it. For example, I was reading one interview and going back to the LGBTIQ rights that you were saying that it's not up to USAID or to US to say to some countries how to live. Yes, of course. But if in these countries, like in Uganda, and this is an example that I'm taking quite often because you know that there is a death penalty now in Uganda for LGBTIQ persons. So so USAID is helping these people whose rights are being violated. So they are completely helpless. USAID, it's not saying to a guy, you should have sex with a guy. USAID, it's saying to a gay person that if your rights are being violated, I might help you if they can. And the greatest help that has been given until now, it was through the HIV health care centers. So there is nothing bad there. USAID, it's not saying to Ugandan people, you should all embrace, I don't know, same-sex relationships. No. But for those who are gay or lesbian, there is some support through some local NGOs. And it's the money of USAID or of the Swedish SIDA or, I don't know, the European Union that is supporting these groups whose rights are being violated. And I think that this is a very important thing.
No, I actually totally agree, as much as I hate to. I totally agree. I think the distinction between human rights, that goes a long way with me. But when I look at these crazy lists that are coming out, that are
Yeah.
everywhere, and they don't seem like they follow the logic that you want them to follow. And that's the problem. The problem isn't that here's USA, they're doing good. They're doing good for everybody. They're talking about human rights. This list, clearly it's a cherry picked list. It's, ideally almost everything on here talks about 7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gender language. That's brainwashing. I'm sorry. I don't want my money spent to brainwash people in any direction. Even if USAID is saying, hey, straight sex is the only sex we recommend. I don't want the USAID to be pushing out that policy either, because people's personal choices are not what USAID should be trying to change and manipulate. I mean, some of these ridiculous, a DEI musical in Ireland. That's not helping AIDS. That's not helping the government reform itself so it's not corrupt. That's not doing anything except promoting a specific ideology. And that's not what US aid should be doing. I'm sorry. I can't accept that.
I think that I just found a topic for one of our next episode to talk about
Musicals or Ireland?
No, the DEI. Yeah, that's something that we should talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to cross over into it a lot, because it seems like a lot of what USAID funding is trying to do right now is propagate the idea that DEI is the new world standard, and I think that is not going to be the case under Trump and DOGE. Again, I'm not here to advocate for any organization that tries to tell me how to live my life. I'd like to live my life the way I want to live it and not be kind of coaxed along on how my moral compass needs to change to meet somebody else's. That's not my intent. I just
Yes,
want to
but
stop the massive spending. I mean, I'm looking
the
at this article right here. I don't know this number. $3.75 trillion has been given since World War II. That's a massive amount of money.
yeah.
USAID has $3.7 trillion since the end of World War II. That's
But now it's the
remarkable amount.
lowest.
I'm
I
sorry?
think that now it's the lowest percentage because if I'm not
No.
wrong, it was during Kennedy that it was like 4 point something percent of the federal budget.
This
And
indicates that the early 2000s was the lowest that it's been since World War II. Right now,
okay,
it's going off. It's near the highs. It's right now. It looks like the spending or annual spending of USAID is someplace in the $60 billion a year realm. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but it's 1.2% of the total federal budget. And
That's
under
immaterial.
Kennedy, that's really important.
That's not important.
It's
So the more
important.
money we make, the more we should give away. That's your
No,
philosophy.
no,
It sounds
no.
great.
But it's not, I mean, if there are some issues in US, it's not this 1% of the USAID. There must be some very huge flow under some other departments or administration. So first of all, why it was USAID the first thing to be like so, and I'm just going again, integrated like publicly, because this is one of the other things that it's bothering me so much. And it's like to just undermine what foreign aid means, like what aid for the less developed country means. So this is really like bothering, undermining, and also for many people who don't know what USAID is doing, it's like, why are you spending our money, like as you say, tax monies, for nothing? Because they don't know what USAID has been doing. And it's not Elon Musk who will inform them.
That's the second time you've said that. It's not
Yeah.
known what USAID is spending money on. Don't you see that as an inherent problem and also a need to go and evaluate what that money's
Yes,
being spent on?
yes,
What if
yes.
DOGE goes in there and says everything USAID is doing is legitimate, let's keep it going? Of course you'll stand back and say, "Well, that's the right decision."
I'm not sure that he will
Again,
be
you're not
doing
sure he'll
it.
do that. Yeah, but what if he
No.
does?
Um, Still, my personal opinion on him, it won't change, and I will think that there are some other circumstances who has obliged him to do that. Maybe President Trump will change his mind.
Well,
I'm
you
waiting
said this
for
is
Ivanka to talk.
Well, you said this is one of the first departments that Trump and DOGE has looked into, and it is one of the first. I don't think it's the first, but regardless, why seems pretty obvious to me, because it seems like a huge exploitation, and we're just trying to stop the massive bleeding. Our economy under the last president has basically gone asunder, and it makes an entire sense to me that if the American people voted a new president to take leadership over the economy, it's because it's been pointed out that the economy is just being exploited. It's just being manipulated, and we need to stop. Stop. What if I hate playing what if games, but it seems to me that back to the thought experiment from before. If USAID is doing all these great things, and it's theorized that they could be losing as much as 90%, worst case scenario, what if we could bring that to at least 50-50%? How many more people will be helped out then?
I
If we
would be so
quadruple
happy.
the support of USA to affect people in a very positive way, it could be 4 times better. And you're arguing against that?
No, I'm so happy, but I'm not sure that it will happen, because these people that are controlling and monitoring USAID, they have just like they have condemned it without even going into the investigation. They are calling it, and I said, criminal organization, radical left organization, blah 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 blah, all the evil in the world. So this is how
You have
USAID
to
is
make
being portrayed.
accusations in order to
And
investigate.
I don't think that these same people will do what you say. I would be the happiest person if that could happen, but I'm not sure it will happen.
Well, so that seems like it's founded on disbelief and distrust, and that's a healthy attitude, because I disbelieve and distrust that the money is being used appropriately. So we see eye to
Yeah,
eye there. We see
yes,
eye to eye.
and I mean, we were saying that this kind of discussion that Greg and I have, it's not a discussion like between two adversaries. So we just exchange ideas and how we see things. And also, I think that the most important thing is that our perspectives are different, in the sense that, yeah, I come from a small country, a former communist country that has depended so much on foreign aid, and Greg comes from US. And so, yeah. And I think that what we were saying at the beginning, that we would like people to comment,
We definitely would
yes,
like people to
yeah,
comment, and I would like to make sure people know that we're not trying to argue against each other with any type of malice. We would both like to find the best possible solution to difficult arguments, difficult issues, and come up with hopefully some productive discussion. I think this is a productive discussion.
Yeah.
You sold me on one argument, and the human rights piece is huge. And I think human rights not not easily not so easy to get human rights for everybody as to just talk about it. And I definitely appreciate and recognize that those are your efforts. So awesome. Well, I think
Yep.
we'll wrap up on this one for the day. I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
talk about more of these issues and how they intertwine with all the other things that we have to talk about in the future.
Yeah.
All right.
And we
Hey,
will
thanks,
come
Mary.
back to what Elon Musk will do with
No,
USAID.
maybe we should
So
just do an
yeah.
episode just about Elon Musk. All Musk all
No,
the
no,
time.
no, 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 no.
All right. Hey, Mary, it was great talking to you. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Thank you.